Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world, talking about the team the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. All right, today we're going to talk about what goes into the Raiders draft strategy. What should they do should things happen in different scenarios across the league? But before we do, I want to make sure everyone please subscribe to this channel. It's the best way you can help this channel out. It's absolutely free, and it's the absolute bare minimum you can do to help this channel besides doing absolutely nothing. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so the franchise tag market is the first thing to enter, and we're in it right now, actually. We need to figure out who's getting tagged, who's not. Now, if a team tags a player, it doesn't necessarily mean that player is staying with that team. That tag could be on there as a placeholder so that player can negotiate with other teams. Think of like T. Higgins. Now, Cincinnati has said that they're committed to keeping T. Higgins. It's been said that the New England Patriots are all in on T. Higgins, and they're willing to give him pretty much any price he's asking for. So if the Bengals want to tag T. Higgins up front and then try to negotiate a trade with the Bengals, that might be the best thing for both parties involved, because then the Bengals can get some compensation for a T. Higgins exiting, and New England Patriots do have to spend a draft pick, but they get to know they have their guy to negotiate with. There's one scenario. Another scenario is to Sam Darnold. Now, people say a lot of things, okay? And just because Kevin O'Connell has said that Sam Darnold has earned the right to become a free agent doesn't mean they're going to let him become a free agent, okay? Similar scenario. They can tag him because, hey, you know what? They can still use him on their team because they don't know really what to have with J.J. McCarthy. So they tag Sam Darnold, and they can look for a trade market for him, potentially the Raiders. Now, with the Raiders having to trade for a player like Sam Darnold, they still have to pay him quite a bit of money, so it may not be the most tantalizing offer to do. They may have some other options either in the draft or through free agency, but that's the first shoe to fall in this whole process here of what to do in the draft is what happens with the franchise tag. Because if you spend a lot of money on a Sam Darnold because he was or wasn't tagged and what you had to do to get him, you're going to want to start the guy. Maybe you don't go to quarterback in round one. Maybe you wait till round 2 or round 3. All right, the next thing affecting the Raiders draft strategy is the whole quarterback carousel. What's going to happen, Again, with Sam Darnold is the big name out there, but there's others. There's Russell Wilson, there's Justin Fields, there's Zach Wilson. Now there's Aaron Rodgers, and he's been released. So there's a lot of guys out there that can fit the bill, which depends on what you're looking for. So if you want a long-term starter out of one of these guys, you're going to have to go with one of the younger ones like Justin Fields or Zach Wilson or even Sam Darnold. Those guys are under 30. The other guys are a little bit older and not going to be able to get it done for too much longer. So you can potentially get like an Aaron Rodgers, right? And if you do that, you may be able to get a quarterback a little bit later in the draft. Maybe you want to get a guy like a Jackson Dart or a Will Howard and have him learn for a year or two under the veteran quarterback. If you get a young guy, like a young cheap guy, like let's say for example, a Zach Wilson, right? You get him out there on the team and you draft a young guy in the first round if you're able to, it could affect the Raiders trading up because they don't know what they have in Zach Wilson. They think he has some tools, but he hasn't really been shown to be a starting caliber quarterback for any length of time in the NFL. So the Raiders may be a little bit more enticed to trade up either with their number 6 pick or trade back into the first round because they want to get a higher caliber quarterback because he may have to play a little bit earlier, seeing as Zach Wilson hasn't shown the ability to be a starter consistently in the NFL. See, there's a lot of things up in the air right now, which is kind of weird why we have all these mock drafts and stuff because so many things can happen that affect the draft strategy. And these are just a couple of them so far. Another is there a legitimate trade market in the NFL for quarterbacks? These are like some seasoned, really well-decorated quarterbacks that may be on the move. There's Matt Stafford. There's Kirk Cousins. There's a tag and trade for Sam Darnold potentially on the table. What do you do? What do you offer in compensation that also is going to make a big impact on what the Raiders want to do in the draft is what happens with this quarterback carousel as far as the trades go, because there's some good players out there. Now, Atlanta has also said they want to stick with Kirk Cousins just in case they need him, kind of an opposite of what they did last year with Michael Penix Jr. But that's a lot of money to be sitting on your bench. Unfortunately for the Falcons, they're going to trade him away and they're going to have to pay most of his salary anyway, because that cap hit's going to be brutal. So he's going to be a short-term small contract for the team he's traded to. That tells me if you're trading for Kirk Cousins and the Falcons are paying most of his salary and hitting their cap, you're probably going to have to trade a little bit more for him because you're not paying that much for the guy. But he's going to be out there. I don't think they're going to release him. I think they're going to want to trade Kirk Cousins. And it's a smart move by the Falcons, but I think you just wait the Falcons out and they're going to probably release him because even though the cap hit's going to be big if they release him, it'll be even bigger if he sticks on the team. Another thing that's going to affect how the Raiders draft is what kind of grades do they give these quarterbacks, and what's the big difference between these quarterbacks in the eyes of the Raiders scouts and the Raiders executives? Because, man, there is a big difference in where you're drafted and how much you play, and if you're a starter in the NFL. If you're a first-round draft pick, to be a long-time starter in the NFL, it's 65% chance of being a long-time starter in the NFL. If you drafted in the second round, your chances fall to 30%. If you're drafted in the third round, you only have a 10% chance of being a long-term starter in the NFL. So that's just numbers for you. It could be because you're paying more money for the guys early and you want them to show you what they have a little bit more. But ultimately, long-term starters, the first-round guys are the guys that have the talent, and the guys are normally going to play a lot more. So if these scouts don't have a huge difference grade, let's say, for example, between like a Jackson Dart and a Will Howard, right? Let's say they have a Jackson Dart as a late 1, early 2, and they have Will Howard as a, mid to late 2, maybe even early 3. If their evaluation is not that much different between the two, what do you do in that situation, right? Do you go ahead and take the Jackson Dart early? Do you move up to get him back into the first round? Do you wait for him to fall to you in the second round? If you don't get him, what do you do with Will Howard? Do you trade back into the second round from the third round to make sure you get your guy? There's a lot of parts moving right now for all these things. So it's really good to take a look at because you want to make sure that you're on top of all the situations here. Now, not every team uses the same book to scout and to grade these players. So a player that's more coveted to one team may not be on a draft board of another team for maybe the 5th or 6th round. So you never really tell what's going to happen in this draft because these scouts are going to show you their freaking scouting reports. They're not going to show you their rankings, right? So the thing we have to focus on right now is the position flexibility. How position flexible are the Raiders for their draft picks? Are they going to do BPA? Are they going to do BPA slash area of need? They're probably not going to go area of need. If you just go straight area of need, that's going to be a mistake. So that's one thing you need to take a look at too, is what's going to happen with the scouting reports for these guys and how are they ranked according to all the people in the Raiders organization. Okay, last but definitely not least, this is the most important thing when it comes to the Raiders and their draft prospect. What do Tennessee, Cleveland, and New York do with 1, 2, and 3 pick? It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be a nail biter. Okay, there are reports that Tennessee has already informed Will Levis that they're going to try to look for another quarterback. Now, that's not too big of a vote of confidence on Will Levis's part. So you're telling me that they're going to try to move on from somebody and try to upgrade the position. So maybe Will Levis sticks around in Tennessee and beats out whoever they get to come in there and take his job, but probably not. This new regime is going to want to bring their own quarterback in there. So look for a change to happen with Tennessee. Again, what's going to happen in the marketplace? If Tennessee is a player in the marketplace and they either trade for a quarterback or they sign a young quarterback who can be their starter for a long time, they're probably not going to want to draft a quarterback at number 1. There have been reports that Tennessee is aggressively trying to trade out of that number 1 pick and get more picks to bolster and fortify their roster. So I don't know what's going to happen. That's why all these scenarios not only affect the Raiders, but they affect the other quarterback needy teams as well. As far as Cleveland goes, what are they going to do? Do they feel comfortable with DTR? Do they feel comfortable maybe bringing back a Jameis Winston? Do they feel comfortable that they can get Deshaun Watson back playing at a good level? Who knows, man? But if you're going to have to trade Myles Garrett, okay, which looks like they're going to have to do, but if you're going to trade Myles Garrett and you have an Abdul Carter just sitting there to waiting to play that same position, you take them and you worry about quarterback later. But that's not a lock. Are they going to be in the quarterback trade market? Are they going to be in the quarterback free agent market? Who knows? This big carousel is going to happen because there are 4 really needy teams, 5 if you count the Jets as well. So, I mean, and these guys are going to be aggressive to get a quarterback. So that's why these moving parts are going to make this thing really interesting come the free agency and the draft time. Now, as far as the Giants go, they're going to get a quarterback. I will be extremely shocked if the Giants don't draft a quarterback at 3. The only way I can see them not drafting one is if quarterbacks go 1 and 2. I'm not saying they're going to go to Tennessee and to Cleveland because a team can hop up into 1 and hop up into 2 or whatever. If the quarterbacks are available, the Giants are going to get one. All right, guys, let me know what you think about all these scenarios. Man, it's a lot of moving parts, man, a lot of stuff going on. But look, this is the fun part of the NFL offseason. You don't know what's going to happen. All the speculations, you have all these scenarios running around in your head. What do you think is the optimal thing to happen for the Raiders as far as the quarterback position goes? And then what did they do with their top 3 picks, right? Did they go BPA? Did they go need? What happens here, okay? Let me know in the comments below. And please, everyone, make sure to subscribe to this channel. It's the best way you can help this channel out and help support. It's absolutely free, and it's the absolute bare minimum you can do to help this channel besides doing absolutely nothing. All right, guys, I appreciate your time. Until next time, everybody. Hey, Raider Nation, thanks for watching. There's plenty more where that came from. Go ahead and smash that like button, drop a comment, make sure to subscribe and share to all your socials. It's the bare minimum you can do without doing absolutely nothing.